Here in a moment from a lawyer who specialises in these cases, but briefly back to Conor McNamara at the boxing.
And good news for Scotland. Rhys McFadden, this 19-year-old from Motherwell, has won the first round here against his taller Botswanan opponent Oteng. So good news for Scotland in the boxing hold so far.
Rupinder Bains joins us, lawyer who specialises in cases involving social media. What about that example that I just put to Lord Best? How would you prosecute that?
Well, Phil, I think it's not as easy as just saying that there's plenty of legislation out there at the moment to deal with these issues. It's kind of like a square peg, round hole kind of instance right now with the revenge porn in particular. Because in order for current legislation to meet the requirements for prosecution, we need to make sure that the offence is suitable. For example, if we're saying there's a harassment, there needs to be a course of conduct, and sometimes it's just the posting of one video or posting of some photographs, so that wouldn't be appropriate. In malicious communications, you're leaving it into the hands of the police or the Crown Prosecution Service to determine that a particular video or a particular image meets the threshold of being grossly offensive. Now, there's no definition for grossly offensive, so you're leaving it in the hands of the police who, I've experienced, have been pretty inadequately trained in this field.
And we have seen this also, haven't we, with abusive tweets. So it seems that this is an area in which a greater understanding or greater degree of training could be encouraged.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because the facilities do exist and the legislation is there. But for revenge porn in particular, I think a lot more attention is needed because, currently legislation just perhaps is for the person putting up the image, if you like. It's so much more difficult where that person denies that they've put up the image. How are you going to find out who exactly has been behind all of this?
So the law needs to be more victim-focused in this area?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because
and how do you do that? How do you legislate for the victim in this case?
Well, the resources that are available to the police under RIPA, for example, allow them to be able to obtain injunctions
RIPA
against there's legislation in force which the police have, which allow them to get technical information from site providers to show who has been behind putting up the links. But all you'll get is the IP addresses. You may still not get the details of which individual it was responsible for this. So, at least that's some help for them, because otherwise victims only have civil.
Can I give you another example then? Let's say you've had a woman who's been filmed surreptitiously. She's unaware that she's been filmed in a sex act, and then that film makes its way onto the internet, and she thinks, well, it must be this guy because he was the only other person in the room at the time, and he says, no, I've not put it up there, and the film has maybe been sent from the person who was in the room to one of his friends. How do you prosecute that?
With a lot of difficulty. Once you say it's not you, it's even though you might be the only person in the room, how do you prove it's that person who's put it up? At the moment, we have nothing to prove, and so prosecutions are going to be very, very difficult.
And could technology help the law with this then? Could you ask phone manufacturers and network suppliers to issue some kind of date and time stamp on these films so that it would clearly identify who had shot the material? Possibly, but from us dealing with, for example, various websites and all the rest of it, cooperation is not something that they're interested in, especially if they're based overseas. In the States, for example, they're protected by their own legislation. It's really up to them whether or not they want to engage with you and want to cooperate with you. So it's not a done deal. You can't just say that you will get cooperation from third parties. What does someone do right now under current laws if they know there's a film of them out there that they would like taking down from the internet?
Well, depending on the severity of the film, if it is grossly offensive and indecent, then yes, you should be pursuing with the police. They should be able to deal with this for you. If they don't pay attention, then obviously you've got your civil redress where you can get an injunction. It happened with the Chulissa case. An injunction was obtained against the person who put the video up, the website to take it down, and against persons unknown. So other websites that may in future feature this video, they would also be subject to that injunction. However, very recently, a very similar video being put up with Lauren Goodyear, she was told that nothing could be done. So yes, civil redress is possible, but how much money can people actually spend on this? It's very expensive.
We await a further